This conference will now be recorded.
All right. So we got Glenn and hey, Sam. I think you may be new. Also, good. That's good. We have none of the usual crew except for me, and I like that. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Glenn. You've kind of already introduced yourself, so I guess we could just jump right in and let you have the floor if you have any questions or anything.
I mean, mainly, we just, like I said, we just ordered the 51 130. It's going to be a while before it gets here.
Mhm.
We were just, I mean, some of the stuff, and we got a ton of ideas we're kicking around, of course. You know, it seems like it's just the realm of possibilities is huge. So, which of course has got me going in all directions. One of my questions was, what are some of the guys doing for local business? I'm trying to get some local business. I really don't want to be a trophy shop, but
Right.
one of my buddies, his wife has a pet cremation. She runs a pet cremation company, but they do
Okay.
all their stuff in house. But recently they just did their stuff in house, so that's like something I was thinking about, but just wasn't sure what
Yeah.
other people are doing.
That granite and slate and things like that for memorials and stuff like that, or for anything really is good. Mugs, the tumblers are always a good seller, and I'll tell you a little trick on that. I was had a tech job with a real estate place for a very short amount of time, and they had meetings every Tuesday with all the agents, and they would discuss things, in the bigger agencies, and they'd usually have someone come in and give them 10 or 15 minutes. They'd bring, Chick-fil-A breakfast biscuits or something for everybody, a little tray, something, and they could peddle their wares. But what's good about that is you can hit up the agents with cups and especially closing gifts like cutting boards and wine boxes, things like that that they can give to their clients when they buy a home. And then on the flip side of that, which is probably what you were going to lean away from, but that kind of production work is good stuff to get into, is the agent side of it, where the trophies and the plaques, and I sold $1 million home this month, and all the stuff you see hanging around, all the acrylic trophies and things. But the mugs are a huge deal, for a lot of people. There's a good ROI in a mug. You can knock out a mug in a minute and a half. And with our rotaries, if it's, if you're not doing one-offs, if you're doing 10 or 20 of the, or 100 or 1,000 of the same one, you drop in a mug, push the button, you can clean up, get ready for the next one. In about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, it pops out, put in the next one, hit the button, and you're off again. So, you can do some pretty high volumes with that thing once you get it set up. So
Okay.
that's just one thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's yeah. My wife had talked about real estate, so yeah, that's
Yeah. Another buddy of mine, Justin Fisher, he has a bunch of Epilog lasers actually, and he just got a UV printer. But his marketing strategies are awesome. They're real grassroots. He drives down the road and takes a video, of a couple square blocks of some area that's got some, small business and stuff like that in it, and goes back and makes a mug or something, usually a mug with their logo on it and his stuff on the bottom, and he goes back and parks the car and hits them one at a time and goes in and says, "Hi, I wanted to bring you something," So, and he just hits the streets, and he's super successful with that. The word of mouth is, exponential in that aspect when he goes that route. So,
okay. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Great. Thank you. I appreciate that answering that.
good.
I did order pretty much most of the stuff with it. I ordered the Roto Boss, the 4-inch head, and the
The
uh,
HR, the high
HR
res.
head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I didn't know where I was going to go, and they were nice enough to give a discount on the ordering multiple accessories at once. So
Sure.
I figured I would take advantage of that. But
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's to the extent of what I bought. And I guess the other question is there other stuff I should be buying right now to prepare for it, other than I'm going to run separate electric to it, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know all that stuff, but I mean, is there
Sure.
any components or anything like that I should be looking at possibly buying? Or
Yeah, let me see if I can get my thing back on the screen here. Um, we've got some, articles on this. This is a good one, important. Now, you'll see a lot of stuff as you dig through here about people adding air compressors. And a lot of times that is a really good thing to do, especially if you're cutting thicker, thick stuff. But one thing that Thunder's always been good about is not having to have anything done to it to work to its specification out of the box. And we're starting to do mods and air gauges and things like that to it, which is fine, but it just kind of reminisces of the Chinese clones that you had to do all this stuff to it to make it work. And I just don't want it to get, misconstrued, you know what I mean? But yeah, if you're going to cut stuff, consistently, if you're cut centric, if you did, MDF DISA blanks for people, for instance, pretty high volume stuff, you'd probably definitely want the external air because that significantly enhances your cutting. Doing 3 millimeter, 1/4 millimeter stuff, probably not. 1/4 inch, I can cut 1/4 inch with a stock pump, no problem. But if you're going to cut 1/2 inch, even every once in a while, if it's something that you may repeat, then that air may be good, later on down the line.
Yeah, I've got big shop air that I was going to run to it for sure. Yeah, for sure.
You can play with it then and determine if you need it or not. Just hook it up, and if you don't like it, put the pump back on. So, yeah, you're set for that.
Yeah, I think with your the low volume and the high volume settings you have on that machine, I would think a shop air would be the way to go. But yeah, because I can always turn it down on the one and then put a gauge on it.
For some reason, it didn't go to that page. This is that article that I was going to, and I clicked it and I was waiting for it, but it never did go. Okay. This is pretty much a cheat sheet to everything that you need to know. The owner's manual, of course, the Book of Thunder, I call it. First and foremost, 99% of what you need to know is in there. Even the dimensions for the optics, if you need optics, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of information in there, and some safety stuff, and what happens if you don't clean your lens often. Stuff like this happening. So yeah, and then the dual stage air assist. It talks about a lot of the things that are specific to Thunder Laser. And there's your main power requirements there, which you said you were going to do a dedicated 20, so you should be good.
Yeah.
And then as far as venting, we do have some documentation on that as well, and some links to some of the stuff that I've used personally. Facilitate that. So there's a lot of good information here. This is a really good starting point. So
yeah, I started to look at that. The manual, does it come with a hard copy manual, or does it?
No, there's the Chinese version of the manual that's on the USB that comes with the machine.
Okay.
But it's only like 80 pages, so you could double side it, and it wouldn't be too bad. Typically, now we do make updates, and that's typically why I like to use the online version in case we do make a change. For instance, we added, there's some changes in the machines July 2019 where they started coming out with some different things, and the maintenance board, for instance, wasn't on previous versions, and we updated the manual to reflect that. So it's a good idea to update it every once in a while. Every year or so, you may want to look through and make sure nothing's changed. And we do put revision numbers at the bottom, I believe, so you can keep up with it.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, wow. I flip back to the screen and there's a bunch of people on here now. Awesome. Hey, awesome.
A full house.
What's up?
All right. Well, we do have some regulars coming back, but I do want to catch, I see Steve. I definitely want to holler at him for a minute. We talked to Glenn for a second. Hey, Robert, Heather may be new. There's Ron and Sam. We definitely want to get to him. And Ron Farber, we'll get to you too and see what's going on. So, and then we just had somebody else come in.
He's out there as welcome, man. Ron's asking me questions.
Oh, okay. So, let's see, Steve, how are you? He may have an audio deal going on. I've been talking with him. He's actually pretty close to me, and I think he's going to come down and kick the tires on a Thunder. Look at my 35 just to get an idea about it.
We have 3 Rons on this call.
Yes, we do. How do we
I
handle that?
I have never run into like a problem where there's too many Rons. Like I'm always like the only Ron ever.
Right,
It's not a very popular name.
Well, I guess Sam, tell us a little bit about while you're checking us out today.
Sam, you're on mute, buddy.
Audio.
There we go.
There we go.
You hear me now?
I do.
Well, I've got a 35-100 showing up here in December.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
I actually have watched these things. I just always watch them 2 days afterwards. And
Right. Okay. Well,
Oh.
do you have any questions or anything or observations so far?
no, not yet. I've been just going through all the lists and everything and just getting things set up.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Cool.
There is a ton of information you guys have put out there, and I
Yeah,
know what I have to ask has already been asked and answered, probably.
Yeah. We try to keep updated on stuff. I put articles out whenever I can, whenever I get a minute. So we try to stay updated. It's a lot easier that way. Sometimes I jump down some rabbit holes, so you have to read between the lines, but so,
That's okay.
all right. Jeremy's got his mic on. I think Jeremy might be new. How you doing, man?
Hey Brian, how you doing? Yeah, I'm new. Been watching some YouTube videos and been looking at purchasing a new laser. Been doing a lot of shopping, a lot of investigating, and come across Thunder. So been looking at it. Figured I'd join in here. Looking into the tech support obviously is a big plus, right? Especially when you're buying stuff that originates out of the country, right? And that's something I work for GE. I actually run the offshore business for GE. So I've got field service engineers and remote tech support engineers that work for me. That's my background. So I can appreciate the challenges with it as well, right? And I also see the value in it, right? Especially when you're using the asset to make a living or earn some money, right?
Absolutely.
Things always tend to break at the worst time, right?
They do. So did you have any specific questions or anything?
So a couple of quick things I was looking into. I did a good bit of reading, right? But I guess what I may ask, right? I'm looking at getting the 51 with the 130 watt tube on it. Couple of things. I've got a Shapeoko CNC machine that I cut out some stuff on now. I've got a little Ortour Laser Master 2 with a 20 watt that I do a bit of etching on when you can get the diode to stay functioning, right? But so played a lot with that, right? Do a lot with 3D printing, and I understand some of the technical challenges and trade-offs there. But yeah, I was just looking for a bit of real world experience or advice from the group here, people that have them, in terms of how reliable, how often do you actually run into issues, right? I do understand a lot of the design features that are nicer from the the beefed up design versus some of the cheaper Chinese products, right? But at the same time, it is still a beefed up cheaper Chinese product, right? It's not to the level. No. Okay.
No, these machines are made in our factories to our specs. Unlike others who get the Chinese machines and tear them all apart and rebuild them and rebrand them. So these are built to our spec in our in-house.
Okay. So that's something I didn't appreciate. So that's good to know. Other thing, in terms of spares and stuff, that's all handled in-house as well. So say one of the servos went out, right? That's something that's supported, and I'm not going to be waiting 3 weeks to import something through China, stuck in customs on getting a spare part, or
right. One of the cool things I like about the Nova series is just about every component in them across the line is the same. So that makes it really easy on my end. So we do have full parts inventory for switches, motors, bearings, circuit breakers, that kind of thing.
And that's kept in the U.S.
That I'm in Tennessee. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
And
I
if
wasn't
we
sure if
can't
you
get
was
it
in Texas. I'm
that
in
way,
South
we'll
Mississippi.
send the Amazon Prime stuff to you if we have to. So whatever it takes.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. Yeah. Because listen, I'm looking at getting that one, and it's a good chunk of money to invest, and I have to get the boss lady and the wife to approve it. And
Absolutely.
first thing she does is look. She says, "Yeah, but that's a Chinese laser. You're going to run into the." Well, hold on now, right? So I figured I'd do a little bit of research into it, right? And because I also understand too is even though it's not the cheap Chinese, right, you are still getting a very good price point on it for the
Sure.
capability, right? And I understand that in reality that does come with some trade-offs, right?
Sure.
You can't have
Absolutely.
everything for nothing.
Hey,
That's
Jeremy.
Yep.
So I'm actually your competition, but this is about the only time I'm going to tell you, join us, brother. This is much better machine than you'll think. So I work for Schneider.
Oh, well,
So
there you
I
go. I won't hold that against you.
no, and this is about the only time we leave all that behind and say, hey, we're all brothers and sisters in this group. But
So what's funny about that in the division of GE I work for, we sold our switchgear off to ABB, and we actually sell a lot of Schneider gear to our customers. So
yeah, exactly. Well, I know what you guys buy from us too, so I already am aware of that. But so I have a Nokia 24. This February will be 5 years. I did massive amounts of research before I bought it, and this was before I even found out there was a US division.
Yeah.
And I've not had an ounce of problem with the damn thing. It's still running, it's still solid after 5 years. And Brian's kind enough, when I do run into an issue, he'll just say, hey, do this and do that. Now, I will tell you, yes, if you're going to use it heavy for the laser, make sure you've got spare lenses, because you will probably burn those out if you don't watch it carefully. I've got 2 spares, but I'm still using the originals because I clean mine. Now, they've got a little bit of scratches from my rigorous cleaning. That's a different problem.
Yeah.
But the machines are solid. They really are. And I kind of envy some of you new guys because you've got all the fancy gadgets and I don't. So that's where when I see Robert, who's our big YouTube, Robert, one of these I'm going to get a signed autograph from you, buddy. But Robert,
I was gonna say he looked familiar. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've seen his.
puts all
You got a
those
24 on YouTube, is it?
Yeah,
Yep.
he puts all those videos, and every time he puts one on, I'm like, damn it, I hate you with all the cool stuff on yours. But so just to let you know, great machine. If you go after the 51, you're not going to regret it. I've seen what people are doing with it. Plus the fact you can put a damn panel in there. That's a different
Yep.
story.
That's what I was looking at, is being able to put a 4x8 sheet in there. Well, I ain't gotta worry about
and
cutting it ahead of time.
And I got to cut mine, and every time I got to remember, like, oh wait, what size do I need to cut, and what side the grain should be flowing, and every time I get it wrong, so now when I come, I'm like, damn it, I hate this. So yeah, you can't make a mistake, buddy, on this. And if you do join us, welcome to the family.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's one. Like I said, I'm seriously looking at. One other question I did have, and maybe it's more for you, Brian. So I've got the capabilities in terms of what it can cut, and I saw up to 3/4 inch birch plywood, right? And I also saw 1/8 and 1/4 inch MDF. Will it not cut through with the 130 watt? Will it not cut through 3/8 MDF? You're on mute, Brian.
You're muted, Brian. You're muted.
You're muted.
I'm muted.
We can see you talking, but I don't read lips real well.
That's probably
Sorry.
better.
Yeah.
No, that'll cut through that. I mean, I don't see why you can't cut through 3/8 MDF. That's not very thick.
No, it's not. No, I was just wondering if it was down to the density makeup, because 3/4 inch birch plywood is tougher to cut through than 3/8 inch MDF on a CNC machine, right? So I wasn't sure if it was just the properties of what's there, but MDF's a lot cheaper and make a lot
really
more with it. Yeah,
It
because all the
can be-
glue and the layers and stuff is nasty. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'd rather cut MDF than ply. At least you get that uniform density and everything.
Yeah.
Even though you got
Well,
to pour the power to
I'd
it.
rather cut it with a laser. With a CNC machine's a different story because all the dust it kicks up, right? Yeah, so that's a and that's my trade-off, right? My wife's like, yeah, but even with the vacuum, it's still all that dust. I said, yeah, and that shit's toxic too. Get out of here, right? You don't want to smell that, and don't want to breathe that in. But
Right.
yeah, so was looking at that because that's something got a good bit of interest in making lots of different signs and yard ornaments and stuff like that. And
Sure.
you know,
Yeah, Jeremy, I'll tell you one thing. I've got a CNC myself, and once I got this laser, I shifted the majority of my woodwork, sign work, that kind of stuff over to the laser because the setup time on a laser compared to a CNC machine is night and day different.
Yeah, especially when you have the light burn camera on it, and you don't have to go about framing it. You just kind of put it in the general region and go, right?
Yep, that's exactly right. So that's the biggest thing I've seen is not only is it faster, but the setup time is much quicker. A lot of times when I was using the CNC, it'd take me longer to set up than it would to actually do the work.
Yeah. And what I found a lot of times if I'm cutting, even going and roughing something out on a bandsaw and cleaning it up with a jigsaw, sometimes if I'm cutting something out, is quicker than on the CNC, especially when you start getting thicker and have to make multiple passes. And yeah, CNC was great for doing inlays and stuff like that, but it's not great for cutting. Right, not the one I have anyways, right? Which is, one of the main things is looking for the laser, and then obviously everyone's into the different tumblers and things like that, and all that fun stuff. And there's so much more you can do with engraving and stuff on tiles. So there's a lot of benefits there as well. Plus, my neighbor was considering buying a CNC too, so I know a good guy. Do I give him a good discount on one, and then come move it across the street as well.
There, you got half your 51 paid for.
So, all right. Steve, did you ever get your audio worked out? I see your mic on again. He may still be having some issues. I see Jeremy lit up. Let's say hey for a minute. How are you?
Different Jeremy or same Jeremy? Sorry.
Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been talking. I was going to shut up for a minute.
No, you're good. All right. How about Lori? Or if anybody else has any questions, feel free to just chime in. Okay. Ron, what's up, man?
I was going to say I'm excited that we have another prospective purchaser in the room now, Jeremy, to take Jeremy. So I've been attending these for past couple months, and I finally ordered my laser a couple weeks ago. But Robert and a few of the other regulars are starting to give me crap. I don't think you're ever gonna buy. You're just here to harass us and stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to be I think I have the same idea as you. I want to be a very educated. I wanted to be a very educated purchase. So
we know what it is. Yeah, with COVID, you can't go out, so this is a way to make new friends, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. But,
so Ron, what did you pick?
What?
What did you pick?
I picked the 3580 watt. Nova
Nice.
3580. So I think it's estimated mid to end December. So I'm kind of hoping it gets here before Christmas to make a few decorations, but if not, oh well. I'll make Christmas decorations next year.
See, and that's one I've been looking. I don't know where everyone lives, but we just had another hurricane down here in the south. So I'm about 40 miles north of the coast in South Mississippi. So I'm normally out of a lot of the hurricane wind and stuff. And oddly enough, so I've got a detached 2-car garage with a double garage door, and that folded in like an accordion due to wind. So right now it's getting everything, making sure my table saw tops, nice and oiled up so it's not rusting, and fighting it because it's I've got a big tarp over it, but it's not keeping it dry in there. And worried about that. Insurance out here, and I'm glad I didn't order it sooner because it would have turned up here. I can't open the door. It's folded in and until I get the new door in the garage door company, because oddly enough, they're staying busy right now. They don't want to come out and just take it down. They looked at, yep, it's safe to leave like it is. It'll help keep the majority of stuff out, and we'll swap it out when we get your new one in. So it's that's kind of delayed things, which I guess is probably better. I was still doing a little bit of research, or I'd be sitting here with a 51 in my driveway and can't even put it in the shop. Oh,
That'd be a problem.
yeah, it would have been a bad problem to have. I'm sure my neighbor would have housed it for a little bit for me.
You might not have ever gotten it back though, if he's
Yeah.
into two stuff too.
All right. Do we have anybody else that's new that has any questions or anything?
Hi, this is Chris. It seems like everybody's cutting and everything, but how about you, how many of you engrave stuff?
I mostly engrave, Chris.
Do you engrave like plastics?
But plastics, the only thing I gotta watch out for is, well, when you say plastic, you mean acrylic or you mean like PVC?
Plastics like for signs and door signs, like bathrooms and
Oh, yeah.
like
Gemini
tags.
type products. Yeah.
Oh, I think I've seen Robert do a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of those, Chris. I've got a 2460 watt and have done a lot of different two color Gemini or duet type products.
Is that like the phenolic labels, that type
Yeah.
of material? Okay, like you'll see on, oddly enough, in my profession, you see it on electrical equipment, right, on ratings for panels and stuff. Where,
Yes. Yep.
And that's
Yeah,
what I'm
and-
looking to do.
well, there you go.
And I'm just curious on, because I'm going to have other people run this thing. So I'm just curious on ease and if I design it or how to learn the software and everything else, what is the best way to do things. And because when I told people that, hey, instead of spending $2,500 to $3,000 to do this, it's like, how about we just purchase this thing and we can do it ourselves and just come up with a template, put in, use Lightburn to import the names that we need to engrave, and then punch it out.
Yeah, Chris, I can address a little bit of that. I purchased my Nova 2460 watt about 8 months ago. And prior to that, I knew absolutely nothing about laser work. I've always owned a CNC, but those are two completely different worlds. So it really didn't provide me any advantage. And for the kind of things that you're talking about, signs and those kind of stuff, Lightburn is a piece of cake to learn. It doesn't take any time to learn it. And you'll be amazed on how quick you'll be able to teach somebody. My wife helps me with the business, and once she kind of got the lay of the land on both the operation of the laser and the software, it's pretty straightforward. You won't have much trouble at all. You know, once you kind of understand how Lightburn works and functions. I very rarely go with the third-party design software anymore. I almost always do just about everything in Lightburn now. I used to use Illustrator or several other Adobe products, but I really don't have to do that any longer.
Yeah, and as far as the if you're going to do labels and things like that, on that two-color board, you can also set up a jig or have reference points, and that's repeatable. So if you have the files, even on a thumb drive, you can even use your USB drive and have the tech plug it right into the laser and run it right from the control panel untethered once you get your designs down, and the repeatability is incredible. So you'll be able.
I watched Robert do his stuff on his YouTube channel, and then I see this other outfit out of Canada do their stuff, on a different type of machine, but he just puts the whole piece of plastic down, comes up with a 1x4 design, burns it, and then doesn't cut through all the way the plastic, and then he just snaps them off when he needs them. So, and then I've seen other things to where you can do that and import stuff to change all the names to whatever you want, because not every job's the same thing.
Right.
People name their panels different ways, so I need to import that without redesigning everything. So if I just come up with a whole bunch of templates and everything down, and then
Just fill in
do
the blanks.
one,
Yeah,
right, fill in the blanks, and then
you can have
learn.
an Excel spreadsheet and use the merge feature also.
Yeah, the variable text feature in Lightburn is fantastic for that.
Got it. And then I just need to learn the speed, the power, and everything else.
Yeah, that's the rabbit hole. You got to play with that a little bit. The good thing is all these machines are made the same, so people with similar wattages or identical wattages can have intelligent conversations about it, about real world experience, and in that, where that's hard to do with some others just because the standardization isn't there. So there's a big community out there to help with that too.
That's going to be one of the bigger learning curves for me when I get my machine in, because I told you guys I've used the Makerspace laser for how many years now, but that just has like a percent power or percent speed, so 0 to 100% speed,
Right.
And translating my mental to like millimeters per second will be like an interesting paradigm shift.
Yeah, one of the biggest obstacles, the hurdles that I see with people coming into this, because I'd say 80% of these people have never seen a laser before, or never even worked in that kind of software, and they get them set up right out of the box and just start running. So the ease of use is there, with the little thing. But yeah, it's kind of a rabbit hole. And what you can't do is, which is what I was going to begin with. I hear people say, well, I came from Boss, or I came from Glowforge, or I came from Full Sail or Universal. And if you try to have any of those perceptions there of how you used to do it and how you're going to do it now, it's just going to trip you up. It's best just to forget all that and start from scratch.
Right.
So, now if it's a laser that you had before or used before and it was a Ruida controller, we use the same controller, so you likely have already used Lightburn or RDWorks or both, and that can be a help. But across different brands, it's pretty much best to give yourself a lobotomy on that, other than the basics, So, does anybody else have anything?
I got one more, if it's all right with you. I was thinking about paying it off, of course, way before it gets here, only because of the Lightburn software, being able to use it. Is it advisable? I mean, I know it's because that's like set up for a year. Is that correct? The way that works?
Yeah, well, the license is good, and your software will run forever with that license, but it gives you a year of updates. And then if you want any more updates after that, I think the renewal right now is like $40 a year to renew or something like that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
I guess my question was, I wasn't sure how much it was and if I should use it before the machine gets here, practice with it, at least design work and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you get a 30-day trial, so you can go down, go ahead and do the trial. And I've even got a document in here on how to mock up your machine, so you'll get your settings and everything specific to your machine.
Okay.
And there's the Lightburn download right there. So you can download it and use the trial, use that 30 days up. If you're close to getting your license or getting the machine, I think probably if you email Lightburn and ask them, pretty please, they might extend your trial a little bit to get you by. So.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
I see caller one. Have you had a chance to jump in? Okay. Renee, how about you?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. John, was that John?
So for hooking to Ethernet, is it just standard set up a static IP?
Yeah, you will need to assign a static IP in your LAN port on your PC. You don't really need a crossover cable. You see that a lot, but just about every PC in it now has gigabit LAN, and it auto negotiates, even though the Ruida does not. So
okay, so wait a minute. So the I don't set it up in the laser machine itself and just plug a Ethernet into the side?
it depends. If you're going to do an ad hoc network where you just use Ethernet to go directly from the laser to the computer, then there's some extra settings that need to happen in the configuration of the LAN card of that computer. If you're going to hook it to a network appliance, or a hub or a switch or a router, and you want that laser to have an IP on your network, then absolutely. All you do is change the default IP address in the machine to one that you want it to be, make sure that it doesn't get reassigned, and you're good to go.
Okay. I mean, I've got a bunch of other machines, and I had to set up statics on all of them. So
yeah, if you're
I
going to
just want to
truly
make sure it's this.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian, I was watching a German video this morning on cleaning the lenses, and I noticed he used a paper towel. And for normal glasses as such, paper towels are always a no-no because of the scratchability or the. Is there any? And I've seen some other videos on the laser where the using Q-tips, etc., and quite elaborate as far as cleaning. And I was just wondering just how big a no-no the paper towel was. It was as big a no-no as I think it is.
I don't know that I would use one. I usually use either the microfiber cloth that comes with it, or I use the lens wipes a lot of times, actually. I don't really have any data on that either way. I didn't actually watch that video yet. I saw that they'd put it out there. But personally, I don't know that I would use a paper towel. Not if I had something that was made for it. You know what I mean? Because those coatings on there are pretty sensitive. That's why we use MO mirrors instead of gold-plated SI mirrors or whatever in our lasers, just because MO is a lot more durable, and the reflectivity is nearly the same, so as the gold-plated ones or whatever. So yeah, those coatings are really sensitive. I'm rough on stuff anyway, so I would use. I don't know about that, to be real honest with you, but if it were me, I wouldn't.
Okay.
What do you think,
It was
Robert?
just something that just kind of caught my attention.
Yeah. Well, that's like that video that Chris did, for the focus. In the instruction, it says do the red dot last, but everybody is finding that is a pretty brilliant thing. Robert actually brought it to my attention about how he did that, and hey, if it works and it gets your laser line, that's all it needs to happen, right? So. All right. Well, does anybody else have anything?
Hey, this is Renee.
Hey, Renee.
And I'm from Texarkana, actually. I'm about 100 miles from the Quitman location.
All right.
And I was able to go down and meet them and look at the machines. And I've been stalking y'all for a while. A friend of mine recommended, hey, you should look at a Glowforge. And I did, and realized that, no, that's not really, everything that I read was, I hated it. It broke down. And so something happened, and I stumbled across the Thunder Laser site, and I was just so impressed. And so I've been stalking for about 2 months now, and I'm actually on lockdown right now. I was diagnosed with COVID Tuesday. This has given me an opportunity. I'm not at work today, so I was able to jump on and watch with y'all. And so I finally went ahead Monday, and I pulled the trigger, and I ordered my Nova 35 100 watts, and
Great.
it will be here in February. So I have plenty of time. I had a shop built at my location at my property here about 1.5 years ago, and I had an open porch on the end of it. So this week we had concrete poured, and they're putting up a room. I'm closing that room in, making it climate controlled, and that's going to be our 12 by 24 laser room.
Oh, super.
So I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I do have a lot of experience in computers and some graphics. I'm kind of a little, not professional artist, but kind of a wannabe professional artist, But I'm a nurse, and I'll be hopefully retiring in 6 to 10 years. And I was hoping that I could supplement my income with this or quit, whichever one happens first. Right. I think the hardest part for me on all this is trying to figure out, what do you want to do? There's so many things. My mom asked me, well, Renee, what can you make with this? And I said, Mama, It's easier to tell you what I can't make or what I can't do with this machine. So we're just super stoked. I can't wait. It's better than Christmas. I'm like so excited. So I'm just trying to be a sponge and learn as much, just like they just talked about the internet. I thought, oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. But I do have a wireless router in the shop. So I'll have to read the manual to figure out how to hook all that up when it gets here. But I'm just excited. I'm just so thankful for y'all. The tech support's what sold me. And I see you on my, of course, I'm following all the Thunder Laser pages. And the tech support is just, I can't believe it. I do a lot of tech support work in IT also at where I work, and it's all from India, and you can't understand them, and it's a nightmare. But when I found out you were 100 miles from me, I thought we would have took a road trip that afternoon, and they were just great. Grant took me in, they showed me all the machines and how they worked, and so I got to touch it and smell it, and it was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So I'm thankful for that, all the tech support y'all give us, and all the people that just like Robert and Sam, you're not trying to hide anything. You're wanting to share all your ideas and all your advice, and I think that's great. You just don't find that very often. So I'm just going to be stalking until February.
Yeah, we've got a great community, and we're glad you're a part of it, and hope everything's all right. So sounds
I got on the hydroxychloroquine, and I felt better the next day. I'm still not 100%, but I'm up and mobile. So
okay, good.
Got a free 10 days off work.
Yeah, well, you can have a little vacation and look up laser stuff. So.
I am. Yeah.
All right.
You don't need to stalk us. You can just join us anytime you like, from a fellow Clifton to another.
Okay, I will. Usually at this time of the day at 3 o'clock, I'm at work, but today I'm not. So I'll just try to watch them later.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Learn as much about Lightburn as you can.
Well, I didn't know about the 30-day free trial, so I guess while I've got a few days off to sit here and just look at the computer, I think I'll go ahead and check that out too.
Yeah, it's neat stuff.
Yeah.
And don't worry about paying the extra. I think I have everybody beat on that. I've got like 4 years of support on mine.
Oh, Lightburn.
Lightburn, yeah.
You bought a 10-year deal?
Almost. Yeah, there's a number comparison going on. I think I beat everybody so far.
Yeah.
So you just suggest getting the updates or the extra if you need it, just not right.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I do it every time it releases. I do it. Sometimes it takes me a day. Like just in the last week, they released 2. I missed one because I was busy. I was on my laser, and by the time I got that turned back on, somebody said, "Hey, the 17 is not good. 18 is great." So turns out I ended up loading 18.
Okay.
So you don't have to keep your subscription up. Most people do because this software is actively developed, and they're constantly coming out with improvements and new features and things like that. And you typically and I tried not re-upping for a while, and a lot of people have, and you start looking at all the new stuff that's coming out and you go, wow, I really want to have that stuff. So then you end up just renewing anyway. So
Well, did you say it was $20 a year?
I think it's
$40.
Is it 40 or 30?
Yeah. No, it's 40 for renewal, 80 brand new.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get you the first year, and then it's 40 a year after that if you decide you want to. But it won't stop working after that year. You're free to use the software free forever, after that. So.
Yeah, the only catch you got to watch out for that if you let it elapse for like 6 months and you renew, you only get 6 months. That's why I tell people, why even waste your time? Either you're going to wait a year and pay 80 all over again, or just pay the 40 and have it available.
Right.
And there's enough new development that it's definitely worth it. They're constantly evolving, so it's good stuff.
And it's good in general to support the development of the software that powers our machines.
Yeah.
Now they also come with RDWorks, and some people still use RDWorks, and it definitely has its place. I don't prefer it. I don't even know how to work it. Maybe that's why I don't prefer it. But that comes standard with the machine as well. So for instance, if you had been used to using RDWorks, if you had been in the laser field before, you could of course use it too, or you can use them both. But Lightburn is a replacement for RD Works that's significantly better. So.
Yeah, I stepped away for a little bit when Chris was asking questions. Did somebody warn him that make sure the person working the laser doesn't step away? That's like the biggest thing to watch out for while the laser is running.
Like step away for how long?
It could be a couple of seconds. Sometimes you go grab your coffee. By the time you come back, things are burning. So yeah, just make sure whoever you're training, just tell them, look, you better go do your bathroom and everything else before you start the job. I don't want you moving from that sucker.
If a job takes 22 minutes, they got to sit there and stand and look.
Well, you need to always be in close proximity to the machine and always be aware of what it's doing. You know, you can have, it's got a flame alarm on it, but you shouldn't trust that. But you know, if you are all in the same workspace and you can keep your eyes on it while you're working on other stuff, that's fine. But leaving it unattended even for a little bit can lead to disaster, and that's proven time and time again. So
it's a bannable offense at the makerspace I attend. Like if you're caught like abandoning the laser while it's in use, like they'll ban you from the laser forever.
That's the reason. So Chris, I've got another extra camera I've attached on top with a massive monitor. So even if I have to step away, I'm constantly looking at the monitor, like stretching my neck out, like, okay, it looks good. Pour my coffee. Ouch, it burned my hand. All right, pour my coffee again, and then head back. It's not fun. I've seen pictures people posted, and it's like all I did was step away for like 2 minutes. Well, in that 2 minutes, something went wrong. So yeah, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just letting you know now, especially when you're not there. When you're there, of course, you're gonna baby that sucker like nobody's business.
Right. So I remember this being a conversation on the last one where they were asking what type of fire extinguishers is the best and everything else. And is it just because of the type of materials? I mean, if you were doing mugs or whatever, but I'm just going to be doing plastic, and I'm sure plastic is pretty flammable and everything else. So I understand that, but is it all depends on the materials? Like if you're doing because like a coffee mug or whatever, I wouldn't see that one being a huge problem. But if you're cutting wood and plexiglass and stuff like that, I would see that as an issue.
And you're right. Cups, the fire load on that's very low. You know, the chances are very low. But yeah, cotton paper stuff especially. You know, in acrylics, they build up. You know, acrylic will build up those fumes underneath it. Even with that downdraft exhaust, it gets up in the negative pressure areas underneath the honeycomb and hides, and I've seen it just flare up, just flash over. So that kind of stuff can definitely happen. As far as the extinguisher, they recommend the CO2. I don't know if it's a Helitron now, but there's another equivalent that's a residue-free one made for electronics that you can also use. But a dry chem extinguisher, it's got all those silicates and stuff in it. And not only does it get in and short down the electronics and corrode them, it also gets into all the mechanics and bearings and all of that stuff. And it can just destroy a machine. So saving $100 on a fire extinguisher may not end up being savings, but truthfully, I've got one sitting here beside mine because I figure if it's going to be on fire, it's going to be messed up anyway. But typically a squirt bottle with water will take care of anything you come across.
Can you say it again? What kind of fire extinguisher is like recommended without the chemical residues and stuff?
CO2 is the
CO2?
one recommended. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. You might invest in one of those too.
All right.
I forgot to mention I also got I told you I think last time very briefly before I had to hop off, I got the ductwork installed in the attic of the garage for my laser exhaust. I also ordered the AC Infinity fan.
Did you get the adapter?
What's that?
Did you get the little adapter so you can plug it into the back of the machine without having to splice that connector?
I'm not sure if I know what you're talking about there. Are you talking about the plug?
Yeah, see, so on the back of the machine, there's an IEC terminal, standard computer cable. terminal that the fan plugs in. It's not a standard 110 connector.
Oh, gotcha.
So there's
I-
a little adapter that you can get to adapt to that, so you don't have to alter your wiring on your fan.
Gotcha. Okay. I also might like experiment with just like manually turning on exhaust too.
Oh
Because
yeah, that's right.
I'm kind of used to that right now anyway.
Okay. And that
part of my
thing's
workflow.
quiet. You can leave it running. So
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't hooked it up yet. But once I still need to get another length of rigid ductwork to go further down the wall between the fan and the laser. But otherwise, I'll be ready to go once my laser arrives to be cutting and exhausting. What I recall you mentioning like a piece of like flexible ductwork to like dampen some sound. What were you talking about there? Do you recall?
well, I don't know if you have to worry about it on these inline fans. They're balanced pretty well, but my thing would be I would maybe put a little collar of rigid on either side if you got rigid on both sides, just to let that fan flex and stuff, you know.
Yeah. But if it's an inline, you think it's probably not necessary?
Well, the AC Infinity's got that frame that's built on, so it should be
Yeah.
okay without needing that. If
Okay.
it was a centrifugal fan sitting on the floor, then definitely you'd want to have some
Yeah.
flex in there to, you know, attenuate that vibration and noise and
Sure.
all of that stuff.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thanks.
cool. Does anybody else have any questions?
Brian, I had a quick question for you. I'm thinking
Alright.
seriously about buying the extension kit for the low roller. I'm finding a lot of these 32-ounce sports bottles are just almost a little bit too long for that, the stock length of the low roller. And I
Mhm.
see on his website that he's got the extension kit to turn that into like a 21-inch wide rotary. And I was curious if you've known anybody that's converted that.
I haven't. As a matter of fact, I remember seeing it before on his site, I think. And then it escaped me until you mentioned it again just now, and I remembered it, but I have not seen anyone actually get it and use it.
Well, I think I'm going to order it. No, I'll keep you in the loop on that. Just an extra couple of inches would make a huge difference on some of these. They're starting to really stretch out these sports models, and it's right at the edge of the capabilities of the stock rollers that come with the low roller. So making it a little bit wider, then you could do rolling pins and several other things. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get that ordered, and I'll let you know how it turns out.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to know about that. Absolutely. So, we still got about 9 minutes officially. If anybody's got anything else. Well, okay.
Well, my wife wanted to know. She does artwork, and she uses she pours epoxy coatings. She's allergic to the epoxy when it's cured, so she looks like a hazmat picture when she's doing her artwork in the room. But can we cut that first? And if we can cut that, I would imagine the fumes would be the same fumes that she's getting from the epoxy in general.
I think burning it's going to give off different stuff than just the chemical process that's happening when that stuff's, you know, coming together. Some of it may be the same, but I think adding fire to it would compound things. I don't know for sure. I'd have to look at the safety data sheets on that stuff. Now, Awesome has done some acrylic, I think. Don't you do bowls with that? Do you do any cutting of that stuff?
I do engraving of those, and it depends on which product I'm using. If I use like I don't know if you know some brand names like Aluminite, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones, they do stink up. It just depends on what you got. So I'm more of an Aluminite person than anything else.
Yeah, she's used Aluminite. She's used several of them.
So you can engrave in it, like he's engraving.
Yeah, she's asking me. So you're engraving in it, is what you're doing?
Yeah, like I'll make something and somebody wants their name or something else put on it. Yeah, no worries, I can do that.
Okay.
I think there's another member that bought the laser specifically for engraving their pens that they make.
Oh,
I think
okay.
the husband makes the pens and she does the laser. He's off limits on it. He's not allowed to touch the laser. That's a new one.
Have you tried to cut it?
Honestly, it'd be the same thing, but you just might have to run it a few times. Depends on how thick you are laying it. Because I mean, depending on the power, you can actually cut right through that resin like nobody's business.
Is it the same composition as acrylic? As
pretty much. Actually, it's softer for some reason. At least I feel it that way.
Because acrylic is a great medium to work with. I mean, it loves CO2 laser beam, and it's uniform, and it's one of my favorite things to work with, even though I don't do it a lot. I would expect that to be similar then in some aspects.
Yeah, you don't want too much power because it does start to like cause other issues. Like I think one time I did fire too hard and it actually started to burn.
Okay,
and I had
so
my squirt bottle. I just squirted it all over it and stopped it.
Does it get sticky, or will it leave a white residue like when you're engraving cast?
Depends on what's there. Sometimes it'll leave a white residue. Sometimes it won't. It just depends on what's in there.
But it is powdery. It's not like gummy.
Yeah, not gummy. It was powdery. The stuff that I did.
Okay.
And it could have been just the way I mixed it. Because there's so many different types of resin color mixes you can do, from liquids to powders. It could be, depending on the powder in there, what composition is, it'll react accordingly. But I've stuck to mostly all aluminite stuff, so I get the same reaction no matter what. Now, I know aluminite's starting to introduce more stuff, and I haven't tried the new things yet. Like the one I want to try is a deep pour, but I haven't had the need for that.
Faux Rizzle. She's been using Faux Rizzle. That sounds kind of funny. She said the aluminite about killed her. She said, I guess the fumes from the aluminite, I don't know if her wrist comes open on this between the suit and her gloves by a 1/4 of an inch, she'll have a little 1/4 inch rash there by the time she comes out.
What aluminite is she using? I use the wood turners version, and we have less people allergic to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just have a look at the data sheet, like Brian said. Each one of theirs has a data sheet. Review that and compare against the ingredients of the one that's like totally allergic issue for her. See if there's something different in there. I just like the wood one because it's it's pressure based, so you have to put a pressure pot. But their new deep pour and the other ones are not required pressure anymore.
I wonder what
the data sheets.
Exhausting. If you're cutting that and it's exhausting properly, I wonder if that could be mitigated, where maybe if she did get a slit in her tape on her wrist, it wouldn't do anything. Hopefully.
Yeah, the pressure thing is not wouldn't work for her, because she does actual artwork like pictures and stuff like that, and she'll use the epoxy resin over the top. But I'm not sure if she's thinking about cutting it. But yeah,
there's another brand I would have recommended to her, but they just announced yesterday they're shutting down. The actual owner, I knew him well. He passed away last year, but actually at the beginning of this year. And the family we thought was going to carry it, but I guess they don't want to deal with it.
Gotcha.
So, Royal Palm resin, that was pretty good. It had an earthy smell, but no one's had any reaction to that one yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that was they had two. The thin one did not require pressure, but that might have been a good solution for her. But I know what she's talking about. We do have a lot of makers I know who definitely look like they just went into an Ebola environment or something.
It's very itchy.
Yes. Thank you.
I have a question about the exhaust then. That brings up a thought that since we're actually making this room too, there's no room, we're making it. I'm putting an air conditioner in the end away from the front of the building. And I'm also putting my exhaust fan on the ground, through the duct and then out on the ground. If I put that air conditioner up high enough, because they're on the same wall, do you think that that's going to suck the fumes back in through the air conditioner?
I don't think so.
Did
Not
you
if your
get your
exhaust is
exhaust fan
working
out?
properly. Now, if your air conditioner is more powerful than your laser's fan, then it's possible.
Okay. I'm
Um,
trying to space them as far apart, like put the air conditioner up as high as possible. And the fan, of course, will be on some concrete on the ground.
I think what more likely scenario would be is it's going to suck out all your cold air in about a minute and a half. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
uh,
unfortunate.
but it won't. But I don't think under normal conditions it would be that powerful enough to pull the smoke from the laser in through the AC.
Okay. So even if I have the lid down, it's going to suck out all my cold air?
It's going to
Yeah.
move the same amount of air, whether it's open or shut. It's going to find a way to go somewhere. So you're moving about 400 cubic feet per minute on the Nova 35 and up stock
I didn't
fan.
think of that.
Renee, what size laser do you have?
I've ordered the 3,500 watt.
Okay.
It will be here in February.
All right, Brian, I don't think that fan sucks too much out, does it?
Yeah, it's the centrifugal fan. It's the
I call it a squirrel cage. It sits outside on the ground.
Yeah, it's a CZD T550, whichever one it was, and it is 482.6 cubic feet per minute.
And I think even the AC Infinity is about 400, 450 cubic feet per minute too.
You get the 6 or the 8?
6.
Okay, I got the 6 also, and I think that's about right.
Yeah.
It's a little bit less, and it takes a little longer to spool up with that inline fan.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm leaning towards like not having it connected to the laser, just so I can turn it on like a minute or like a couple seconds before I start my job or something.
Right, and we've got Renee, we've got these documents. Let me see if I can go back on the exhaust stuff. I don't know. You may have. It sounds like you've done a whole lot of homework. You called it stalking, but I call it homework. May have seen this already.
No, I haven't seen that part.
Okay, this is all about venting the exhaust. It shows a couple of configurations, some of the parts that I used or that we found to be okay, and it also shows the specifications of the fans that you have.
So how do you overcome that? Do you just work in a hot room? Is it just a waste of time to put an air conditioner in there?
I won't say that. In my instance, I probably don't run my laser maybe 4 hours a week unless I'm doing samples. I don't really make anything. So it's not really that big a deal for me. Some people have talked about having another duct and coming in the front here on this louvered door and actually even taking a 6-inch duct and setting it right here, where it'll suck that air from that intake in. So that's one option that people have thought about, is actually having a fresh air plumbed in.
So have one exhaust duct and one intake duct. An intake,
put the intake up here, and because it sucks to the front here through this baffle, and then it's a downdraft exhaust. The typically, unless you're working on something really, really deep, like a box or something, the exhaust vent is going to be below the bed so that it's a downdraft, which I like.
I feel like we won't be doing a lot of thick wood, maybe 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, maybe. I probably, I would like to do the 1/8 inch plywood and make a name puzzle so you glue the two pieces together. I don't know if we'll be cutting the 1/4 inch. It'd probably be mostly acrylics and thin wood, and doing a lot of engraving on personalized items and those kinds of things.
Sure.
And for what it's worth, Renee, when regarding like whether it's worth it or not to install an air conditioner, like I had that same like debate as I was like getting my in progress shop ready for a laser, and I installed a ductless mini split this fall. And if I recall, the indoor unit's like output CFM is around the same as the output of the exhaust fan. So like, I think if the room is cold and the exhaust fan is on, like sucking air out of the laser and also out of the room, like it should like basically keep up with it. Like it won't like, so as long as like the room is like fully cold, it's not like it's instantly going to turn hot like a minute or two afterwards. I think as long as they're both on, like they can keep up with each other.
Right.
But if you turned on your exhaust fan and your air conditioner at the exact same time, then you might feel like the air conditioner is not doing anything.
Well, in Texas in August, it gets to be pretty warm, and I don't think I want to be out there.
No, it doesn't. All right, here, Robert, you got anything to offer? Because you always have good stuff.
Yeah, I'll let you know what I've experienced, Renee. My shop's not very big. It's probably 16 by 20. And originally I had my swamp cooler, because I live here in Nevada in the desert, and also my heater on the same wall as my exhaust for my Nova 24. And in all honesty, I quickly realized that that wasn't going to work very well, primarily because I do a lot of acrylic, and the acrylic smell that kicks out of the exhaust lingers enough for it to kind of hang out and be picked up by your other systems. So I moved that to the opposite side of my shop, and ever since I've done that, I haven't had any problems. But if you do a lot of acrylic, wood I wouldn't worry too much about, but if you do a lot of acrylic and you've got a mini split above your vent on your laser, I would be a little concerned with that.
I'm hoping to have the heater air combo that just fits in the window.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking at. It's just a window unit that heats and cools.
Yeah, if there's any way you can go the opposite side of the room, because the other thing that I found when I had my heating and cooling unit on the same side as my laser is only around my laser is where it was comfortable, and the rest of the shop was either too warm or too hot, because it basically was moving either that heat or that cold right from my unit right through the laser.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so if you can, I would put it on the opposite end, and then you would more than likely not have any problems at all.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Cool.
Yep.
Just trying to head off problems before we get it
yeah,
off.
no, it's good to ask, because like I said, don't do what I did.
Okay. I just thought it would look better on the back of the shop where you can't see it at all, but it's not going to be practical. It'll be prettier, but not practical.
Yeah. I would also just look at the output of that window unit, like how much CFM it moves. Because if it is like lower than the exhaust, then that could be a bigger problem.
Well, and typically those window units just recycle the room air unless you open that vent, and that vent's very minimal anyway. So I don't think that would actually create an extra opening, where it might just recycle,
Yeah.
But like Robert said, if it recycles the smell too, that may not be desirable. But yeah.
Right. Well, there will be a window on the front too. I was just going to leave that open just to look outside to see somebody driving up, but if I had to, I could move it to that front. So it wouldn't be like okay, I'm committed, there's no other option here if I do it in the back. So it just wouldn't look as nice. It would have an air conditioner hanging out the front, but would be cool.
Right. So I'm going to stop the recording.
This is John in Alaska, and I just don't understand this. You say air conditioning? What is that?
Come to visit in Texas in about September, August, any of those days, and we'll introduce you to that.
or come to Minnesota where I'm at, where you get the extremes in both areas. You get the occasional 100-degree humid August with the like 20 below freezing in January. So
nice. I'm going to stick to Tennessee where it changes every 20 minutes.
Last Friday, it was like 75 degrees here.
And then we got 6 inches of snow.
Yeah, now we're back in the snow. We have Where are you at, Chris?
I'm in Minnesota as well.
Are you in Minneapolis?
Yes.
Nice, so am I.
Well, cool, guys.
Awesome.
I guess I'm going to jump off here unless you guys have any more questions.
Is there anybody else from Texas on here right now?
Awesome.
Who's that? Awesome?
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. How far from Texarkana? I'm up in Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana.
I'd say about 5-6 hours. I'm down in Humboldt, Texas, close to Houston.
Oh, okay.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to shut this one down. I better go get back to work. I've been playing too long.
Thank you very much for all the information, guys.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Thank you all.
Yeah. It was good to see you guys on here.
Have a good day.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Take care.
Yep. Bye.